Alright everyone, welcome back again and good afternoon. It's about to be almost 1 p.m. right now, and yeah, right now we are pretty much up in around the crazy in this game, considering I think we're close to the end of episode 2. We're nearing it at the very least, because it seems like almost every time something serious happens, it's always near the end. Or at least that's the pattern I'm getting from both episode 1 and currently episode 2. But yeah, there's a lot of craziness going on, and it is intense right now. And I feel bad for Jessica in particular because of how she's just... Oh, she is suffering, man. So, we're going to continue on, guys. And if anything, thank you again for all the love and support. And let's continue on. Alright, everyone. Welcome back again. We're dealing with Maria's little cackling that's pretty annoying at the very moment.
さあ、始まったね、ベアトリーチェ。どうせこの謎は誰にも解けないよ。だから絶対にベアとの勝ち。早く黄金鏡への扉を開いて。そして、マリアを連れてって。
お嬢様、どうか気をお静めください。
誰が犯人かはまだわかりませんぞ。それにベアトリーチェ様は親方様の大切な賓客です。
だからなんだってんだ。本人の胸ぐらひねり上げてやれば白状するに決まってるぜ。目を見ればわかるんだよ。私が見破ってやる。何が魔女だ、ベアトリーチェだ。化けの皮を剥いでやる。
Jessica never stopped moving. Goda and Kanon chased after her, doing their best to convince her, but Jessica never lent them an ear. Eventually, the witch's VIP room came into view. This VIP room was always sealed and never used. No matter what kind of guest came, Kinzo wouldn't let them in this room. And yet, the servants were always made to clean this room so that it could be used at any time. So the servants had started calling this room the witch's VIP room, after their other shapeless master. Jessica also knew this, and she couldn't stand that woman's arrogance in calling herself a witch by staying in that room. The Golden Witch was just a fairy tale. Come on, a witch? To Jessica, she was nothing more or less than the murderer who had brutally killed her parents. Question her, make her give painful excuses, make her spit at the ground painfully, make her breathe painfully. No matter how hard she pretends to be a witch, I'll teach her that she's just a stinking sweaty human. Jessica hit the door to the VIP room while yelling with all of her strength. It definitely wasn't a knock. That sound was the beating of her anger's hammer, whose message was clear. If the woman didn't open the door, she'd break it down.
開けろよ、ベアトリーチェ！出てこい！聞こえてるんだろ！ここを開けろ！
There was no answer. Jessica twisted the doorknob without any reservation, but she felt the resistance of the lock. Jessica turned to the two servants and spat out at them demandingly.
ここ、マスターキーで開くんでしょ！開けて！
お嬢様、それは大変な失礼に当たります。
Although Goda was flustered, he still tried to somehow calm Jessica's anger. After hanging his head silently for a while, Kanon pulled the master key from his jacket pocket.
カノンさん、いいんですか？
もしおられたなら、無礼になるのは承知です。それに、もし、ベアトリーチェ様が何の関係もないというなら、それを僕たちに釈明して納得させればいい。そうだぜ、その通りだ。借りるぜ。
Jessica snatched the master key from Kanon's hand and violently shoved it into the keyhole. Immediately, there was a light sound and she felt it unlock. And without excusing herself, she flung open the door.
ベアトリーチェ！どこだ？出てこい！
Jessica rudely barged into the room. The witch wasn't anywhere to be seen.
くそだね！いねえぜ！どこ行きやがった！
お姿がありませんね。
Jessica, thinking that she might be hiding somewhere inside the room, peeked behind the curtains and under the bed, but she couldn't find anyone. However, there definitely were signs that the bed had been used. And although it's an odd way to say it, the atmosphere in the room had grown a little softer. It wasn't the hard atmosphere of a place normally devoid of people, like the chapel. You could definitely tell that someone had spent the night in this room, but she could not be seen. In reality, neither Jessica nor Goda had met Beatrice yet. They only had been told, those who had met her, that she was the spitting image of the person in the portrait, so they were doubtful about what her face really looked like. However, Kanon alone had met her, and he understood what kind of being that witch was, and what kind of character she had. So he knew that if they were to force their way in here, searching for her, she wouldn't let things go as they planned. She must be watching us bitterly flail about in vain from somewhere, sneering at us. She's that kind of person. Because he was looking at things that way, Kanon was the first to find it. The other two were concentrating on finding the shape of a person, so they hadn't noticed. Near a water jug on the side table, there was a single sheet of writing paper. It was accompanied by a short message and a fountain pen which had probably been used to write it. Kanon understood the witch. The witch would definitely ridicule them, as they found the 6 corpses, forced their way in here in rage, and were unable to find her. Ridicule has no meaning unless it's communicated. So in other words, this was definitely that.
お嬢様、ここに何か書かれています。書かれてるってなんだ?
Jessica quickly dashed over and violently stole that piece of paper. She probably wasn't trying to be violent. She just couldn't control her strength now.
なんだと？なめやがって!
As soon as she read the message, Jessica went into a wild rage, crumpled the paper up and threw it. Then she grabbed the table lamp that was by the side of the bed and violently swung it around, mercilessly hitting the walls and furniture with it. The light bulb shattered at once and scattered its shards across the room.
お嬢様、気をお沈めください。お怪我をなさいます。
離せよ！畜生！畜生！出てきやがれ、ベアトリーチェ！よくも父さんと母さんを！そんなに私が怖えかよ！殺してやる！殺してやる！ぶっ殺してやるから姿を現しやがれ！だから離せって言ってんだろ！くそー
！This was written on the paper.
私がぬくぬくとここであなたが飛び込んでくるのを待ちぼうけるとでも？知的な夜に粗暴なるあなたは似合わない。こんな間抜けに育てた親はどんな顔？見たよ。本当にそっくりな間抜け面。今はお菓子の国でお腹いっぱい。
She definitely has a way with words, that's for certain. It sounded like something that the witch would write. It meant that she had predicted that one of the children who had lost their parents would come running in here. If she was hiding somewhere in this room, she would surely be rolling around with laughter. The witch was that kind of person. She sneered at people's misfortune, using it to stave off the boredom of 1,000 years.
これはお渡しください。お怪我をなさいますと申し上げております。
離せって言ってんだよ！くそー！くそー
Goda grabbed the table lamp Jessica had been swinging around and took it from her. Because if she kept swinging it around, she might hit something and get injured. To Goda's eyes, Jessica probably looked mad with rage, burning with the flames of anger. But Kanon's eyes saw it differently. Those were probably tears of sadness, hidden by rage. Therefore, when at the moment the table lamp was taken from her, Jessica dropped to the floor almost as if groveling and started crying and scratching at the carpet. Goda was surprised, but Kanon was not. Her way of crying by brandishing her anger had been stolen from her, so this was inevitable. Considering that she was a daughter of the Ushiromiya main family, she was in a very shabby state. She scratched at the carpet with her fingernails, and even her feet writhed and scratched at it. Jessica cried very, very hard, because if she didn't, her rage would start building up again and swallow her up. But over and over again, she remembered that letter's humiliating message. What kind of faces must your parents have had after raising you to be such a hapless fool?
間抜けなんかじゃない。父さんも母さんも頭が良かった。私なんかとは違う。本当に頭が良かった。間抜けなんかじゃない。取り消せ。取り消せ。
Yeah, I saw them. They had perfectly stupid faces just like you. Now they're in Candyland with their bellies all full.
殺してやる。殺してやる。野郎の腹を裂いて同じ目に遭わせてやる。
Oh, if she dies like this is gonna suck. As Jessica cried and screamed, she triggered an asthma attack. The servants watching over her ran up to her hurriedly and rubbed her back, but that only provoked Jessica's wrath.
そんなことする暇があったらあいつを探せよ。探し出して私のところに連れてこい。お前らが行かないなら私が探せ。そしてこの手で殺してやる。腹を引き裂いてやる。触るんじゃねえぜ。畜生。畜生。
Jessica got up unsteadily. Excuse me. And as her asthma continued, she went out into the hallway.
お嬢様、お薬を至急。南條先生をお呼びします。
郷田さん、僕に任せてくれませんか。
Kanon had noticed. Goda was much older, probably couldn't feel the tears in Jessica's heart. Kanon, who had noticed that himself, had to support her.
カノンさん、いいのですか。
今のお嬢様には涙を流す時間も必要なのだと思います。ご両親のあんな死に方を目の当たりにしては。
そうですね。
Goda also understood, and he also knew of the modest relationship that Jessica and Kanon shared. So he understood everything and left it to Kanon.
わかりました。私はローザ様のところへ戻ります。お嬢様をくれぐれもよろしくお願いしますよ。
はい、お任せを。
Kanon's voice was frail, but he nodded forcefully. After looking at his eyes, Goda also nodded forcefully. Goda was a veteran with many years behind him. He had seen a great number of people in his life, so he knew of the vigorous sparkle that could be found in the eyes of those who had self-control. He had seen that clearly in Kanon's eyes. Therefore, he would leave this to Kanon. Thinking about it, this may have been the first moment that Goda had trusted Kanon and relied on him for a job. It seemed Jessica was heading towards her room, leaning against the wall as she suffered from her asthma. Kanon followed after her wordlessly. If she had asked for a hand, he would have jumped over and supported her. But as long as Jessica didn't ask for that, he hid himself, watching over her from a distance where he would come to her rescue at any time. As Kanon remained in the spot where 10 billion people would hope for someone else to be when their hearts felt like they would explode from sadness, he silently watched Jessica's back. Then finally she was crouching in front of the door to her own room. The asthma attack had stolen all of her strength, and her thoughts had gotten hazy from the lack of oxygen so that she could no longer stand up. But right now, Jessica wasn't thinking that she wanted someone to lend a hand, because she still hadn't been able to overcome the flames of anger. Because even if someone had offered her a hand with good intentions, right now, Jessica would start wanting to grab it and lacerate it. And she understood how unreasonable that would be. Until she could overcome the flames of her anger, she definitely wouldn't ask for help. Probably Jessica no longer even had the willpower to call for help. But Kanon heard it. He definitely heard it. Kanon definitely heard that voiceless call for help which is shared by those from across the world who are grieving, in which, though they scream and scream, cannot be heard by anyone. Kanon softly knelt by Jessica's side and wordlessly offered her a shoulder. Even as Jessica kept coughing painfully, she accepted it, unlocked their room, and entered.
こちらへ。今、お薬をご用意します。
Jessica had often said that when she let her asthma run its course, it hurt so badly that it felt like she would vomit her whole stomach. Her face was pale and her gaze wavered, and yet the coughing continued. Even so, her sadness was probably even stronger. After having her sit on the bed, Kanon took an inhaler from a cute basket on a side table by the bed and handed it to her. Jessica sometimes forgot to walk around with her medicine. When it seemed that this was the case, Kanon would take notice and secretly carry around the inhaler from the first aid kit in the servant room, but he hadn't done so today. He scolded himself as though wondering how, after failing to bring it with him on a day like this, he could call himself furniture. Then he remembered the day when he had spoken that word and somehow betrayed Jessica's feelings, which jarred Kanon's heart. But compared to Jessica's current sadness, he thought of that as far more shameless emotion, and he suppressed it to the depths of his heart. When she inhaled her medicine, Jessica's wild breathing calmed down bit by bit, and she was finally able to regain her composure. But the strength and willpower she had lost wouldn't allow her to rise up from the bed.
大丈夫ですか、お嬢様。
私は大丈夫だぜ。父さんと母さんはダメだけど、私はもうちょっとなきゃ大丈夫だぜ。
Kanon regretted misspeaking. He had said, "Are you alright?" to her. Was he really unable to notice the pain in her heart? That was why he was ultimately mere furniture. This was why he couldn't become human.
廊下におります。ご用がありましたら、すぐにお呼びください。
Kanon understood that she still needed some time to cry alone. He told her to call him at any time, bowed, and made to leave the room.
何か。
Jessica had spoken as though she wanted him to stop, so Kanon had stopped. If she asks it, I'll do anything to help her. If it could heal the pain in her heart right now, I would even become a cane or a chair. If by doing that I can repair the pain in her heart I gave her that day. For a while, Jessica stared into Kanon's eyes, as though despite stopping him, she had nothing to say. For a while, neither spoke. Jessica broke that silence with a small voice.
ごめん。なんでもないぜ。しばらく一人になりたいって。ロザおばさんに伝えてくれるかな。
I would not leave her alone if I were you, dude.
一人にはしません。あなたを僕は一人にしない。
Smart man.
だから廊下にいます。いつでも呼んでください。
For just an instant, it looked like some kind of hope flew to Jessica's eyes. But it was very faint and disappeared like the first snow does on the surface of a river.
ありがとな。しばらくだけ。一人で泣かせてくれ。
はい。失礼します。
Kanon bowed once again and closed the door. He thought he had said something to give her some courage, but for some reason it felt like that had actually hurt her. Why? He didn't know. Surely that was because he was furniture, so even now he couldn't grasp human sadness. As Kanon repeatedly questioned himself, he walked down the corridor. He felt like the window at the end was coolly calling to him.
僕はやっぱり家具でしかないのか。
It was still pouring outside, a dark gray world. Even on days like this, Shannon... Oh, wow, I'm saying Shannon. Ah, well, whatever. We'd surely look at the ocean and know it was blue. But to my eyes, even if it cleared up, I would only see gray. As long as I cannot tell the blueness of the ocean, I am nothing but furniture imitating a person.
本当に女心のわからぬやつよ。
Oh, she just I knew she was gonna pop in right now to to mess with him.
ああいう時は黙ってそばにいるのが正解だ。だからゆえに貴様は家具なのよ。
貴様
There shouldn't have been any trace of anyone in this corridor. It had been empty and cold. But those scoffing words approached Kanon from behind. When he turned around, he saw that witch. That witch who hadn't shown herself when Jessica had searched for her with a rage bordering on madness. Who had left that sneering letter to toy with her.
女の傷つけ方は3つある。特別にわらわが教えてやろう。一つは刃物で傷つける。一つは心で傷つける。そして最後が一番難しく、一番効果的に傷つけられる。なのに意識せずして傷つけられる。わかるか？
わかるわけもないし、知りたくもない。
期待を裏切る。女ほど夢見がちな生き物はいない。勝手に夢を見、勝手に傷つく。お前のような距離の男が一番女を傷つける。わかるまいな。どれほどジェシカを傷つけてきたか、全く考えが及んでいまい。家具だから。
お前のたわごとに付き合う気は毛頭ない。僕を嘲笑うためだけに姿を現したというのか。
うぬぼれるな家具。貴様ごとき嘲笑うにも足りぬわ。しかしそなたも一人ではそれに値しなくても二人揃えば十分に足りる。若々しき男女の悲運を笑う喜びは何度繰り返しても飽きぬのでな。
なんだと。まさか貴様、お嬢様を。
第二の晩の生贄に寄り添う二人が必要なのでな。
I don't think I'll ever get used to her making that face. I thought it was only Maria.
お前たち二人は実に都合が良い。
There's also George and Shannon.
待て、勘違いするな。僕はお嬢様とそういう関係じゃない。第二の番の生贄にはならない。
だからお前はジェシカを傷つける。だからお前は人間になれぬ。ならばよいだろう。貴様がジェシカを思い人と認めぬならば、それを受け入れてもよい。だがジェシカは殺す。
なぜ？
このバカが決まっておろうが。殺したらそなたが歪めるだろうその表情が楽しいからの他に何の理由が必要なのか。儀式に従いわらわは気まぐれに13人を生贄とする。だがそれ以上殺してはならないとの決まりはない。わらわが楽しければ幾人でも殺す。だから殺す。わらわを思いっきり笑わせてみせろよ。家具カノ
At that time, Kanon definitely heard Jessica scream. The instant he blinked and looked down the corridor, the witch who had been there making a perfectly ordinary face until a second ago had disappeared. Right now, it was just him standing alone in the corridor. And the person he wanted to protect was asking for help and was right over there. It was obvious what he should do. It wasn't logical. It was an electric reaction. Without a trace of hesitation or idle thoughts, the person he wanted to protect was there and asking for help. So in that moment, he genuinely felt that he wanted to be the person who was there with her. When he flew into Jessica's room, his eyes flashed onto the bizarre scene. The room was a fantastical world where a blizzard of golden powder danced, almost as though Gold Leaf had been scattered inside a snow globe. No, that's not it. I've seen this spectacle before. This isn't Gold Leaf. It's countless gold butterflies, Beatrice's minions. Jessica was surrounded by countless butterflies and was waving her hands around, trying frantically to bat them away.
Ojo-sama!
Kanon rushed towards Jessica and violently brushed the group of butterflies away. The butterflies, beautiful yet filthy, surrounded Jessica's face, trying to crawl in through her mouth and nose. Jessica gagged violently, almost as though the butterflies were triggering her asthma attack, sneering at her. Indeed, when Kanon ran towards Jessica as she choked, the butterflies stopped attacking her, and this time they began to elegantly dance a rondo around the two. As he guarded Jessica in pain and using her inhaler, Kanon yelled into the empty air. When he did, the empty air definitely laughed back, satisfied. Then she showed herself. It wasn't in response to Kanon's demand. It was obviously because appearing and steering humiliated them even more, and was more fun.
これで全ては筋書き通りよ。今やそなたは相乗の恋よな。いや、二人が揃ったのだから、鴨とネギと呼ぶべきか。
お前、ベアトリーチェ。
お下がりください。お嬢様、僕が守る。
姫に騎士が揃わば、魔女が現れるのは必然よ。どれ？金蔵の家具がどの程度の力を持つか、見せてもらおうではないか。
She snapped her fingers and there was a piercing sound. When she did, a blizzard of gold butterflies started up, and they began to form a small mountain as they whirled around in a circle. Just like how a cold, wintry wind swirls and creates a mountain of leaves. From that mound of gold, a hand sprouted, and it appeared as though a resident of the world below was crawling out. Jessica couldn't comprehend what she was seeing right now, and her mouth kept flapping open and closed. It was a literal attempt to take in and digest knowledge, to understand the incomprehensible. That witch was crawling up was probably an attendant serving the witch. It appeared to be wearing a uniform following the pattern of those who serve. But its face was different. It was strange looking. It was covered with a pitch black hair, it breathed rotten breath, and its eyes were filled with the same strange subterranean glow as lava. And, the symbol of those who are not human, a pair of horns. It was a figure of a goat-faced attendant who served the witch. Jessica could no longer decide what to say. All of this happening in front of her couldn't be explained with this world's common sense, and she couldn't do anything except open and close her mouth. Jessica hadn't noticed. that this island had already been cut off from the rules of this world. But even so, she could understand that this goat attendant was the witch's familiar, and it was after her life. Alright everyone, I'm going to end the video here for today. Thank you all for watching. I know I'm leaving you guys at a cliffhanger, but holy cow, now we got a goat demon, goat servant, familiar, whatever you want to call it. It is insane. So, I'm looking forward to see how this turns out in the next one. So, thank you all for watching.